Okay, this is a video I've been trying to avoid making really, because it's in response to a couple of videos and some comments on some videos that were actually made several days ago, and I thought I would just be able to just let it blow over and just carry on as normal, but I can't, you know what I mean? I've got a bit of crisis of conscience, so I'm going to have to make these videos. And this video is in response really to several videos by To Be Serious, and a video by Professor Anton, and some comments on those videos by Direct Spirit, Don Quixote de Core, Dana Garrett, and Galilean Guy. So I guess I'm addressing you six, kind of, really. Although it's a wider issue, really. And these videos are all concerned with Gary, Do Not God, Inmendham. The To Be Serious videos are, I can't remember, something like Inmendham's argument style, and then the various videos which proceeded from that. And Corey, your video, Professor Anton, your video, is the Why I Unsubscribed to Inmendham video. As I said, these are a couple of days old, so I'll put links in the description box if you're not familiar with those videos. And Gary Inmendham has made some responses to these, so I invite you to check those out. Okay, I'm making this video because I'm disgusted, and I'll be honest with you, I'm disgusted and I'm disappointed and I'm depressed. And I'm wishing things were different, and I'm wishing that people could behave in ways that that I want them to behave, which is an unreasonable assumption, I guess, but in ways that I think we'd all like to behave. I'm just going to read a couple of comments first off, just to set the tone, if you like. This is a comment that was on in the To Be Serious video in Inmendham's argument style. This is from Don Quixote de Core, and he says a few things about being asked why he would want to hang around with that trash anyway, referring to Inmendham. And then he goes on to say he realised that the Mosherite cult members are indeed a complete waste of effort. Mosherite, meaning to do with Gary. Complete waste of effort. And we are a cult, apparently, people who subscribe. And To Be Serious, Karen, you've followed that up with a comment saying that, yes, in theory, you're in agreement. On the same video, Direct Spirit, really disappointing from you, Direct Spirit. You say that, let me point out two things. We should take most of what he says with a grain of salt for reasons I can't state in public. Professional ethics. I'm in psychiatry. In other words, it's best to ignore most of what he says. In other words, what you're doing there, Direct Spirit, and you know this because I think someone else on the thing picked you up on it, on the comments picked you up on this, is that you're making veiled accusations that Gary has a mental illness, or as cognitively different, let's put it that way. I know in the comments you qualified that by saying that you're not a psychiatrist, you work with psychiatrists and presumably have gained some experience by osmosis. But that's a really malicious thing to say, and it's indefensible. If for some reason you have got enough psychiatric experience to genuinely be able to make a diagnosis, then making that diagnosis, even in a veiled form in a public forum, is unethical to say the least. And if, as I suspect, this isn't really about a diagnosis, it's using mental illness as an insult, which is what it is, then you should equally be ashamed of yourself. If you do work in the mental health industry, as you seem to, then you'll know that the stigmatization of mental illness is not helped by people using mental illness as an insult, which is what you're doing there. Disgusting behaviour, really is. And I expected better of you. Dana Garrett, he says on the same video, same To Be Serious video, whilst I agree with what you say about Inmendham's argument style, I don't understand why he and his disciples, we've already had cults, now we've got disciples, seem to get to you as much as they do. It's no secret that some individuals are dysfunctional, so we've got another accusation of mental health issues, and they seek the company of others who are dysfunctional. In my view, the insults, abusive language, and even the misanthropy are symptoms of underlying pathology. So, Dana, I know you're not in the mental health industry, so again, you're either using mental illness as an insult or you're making unwarranted diagnoses. It's shameful, quite frankly. And Dana, I know you present yourself as something of a public intellectual, and that is not behaviour becoming a public intellectual. It really isn't. Galilean Guy, I'm not sure if I mentioned you at the top end. Yeah, Galilean Guy. Again, you present yourself as something of a public intellectual, a philosopher. You're a member of the Galilean Library. You enjoy the banter around philosophy, and clearly you know your stuff. But this is what you have to say here. Misery loves company. The swamp, that is YouTube, is a perfect breeding ground by which Inmendham can, almost as if asexually, reproduce himself, replicate himself, perhaps akin to a virus. A virus. Most unfortunate, really. What a pitiful creature he is, you say. This is the voice of a philosopher? Perhaps most unfortunate of all is the way such darkness, such vitriol and filth come to be embraced by those who, in their absence of such, would never otherwise embrace such things. Okay, so we're just in the comments right now, and already he's been compared to a virus, to his viewers and commenters and subscribers as a cult, and that he has an underlying pathology. Okay, let's move on to Inmendham is Angry, another 2B serious video. This is a comment again from Dana Garrett, public intellectual. These matters are transparent. Inmendham is an imbecile. Carefully balanced evaluation there. He gets angry and verbally abusive to squelch the voices which, by virtue of the contrast they provide, highlight his basic imbecilic nature. Basic imbecilic nature, Dana. Wow. What isn't clear is why you seem to be fixated on challenging him, and so you go on. Alright. Staying with comments, but just moving across to Professor Anton, your video, and I'm going to talk at length about your video, Corey, in a few minutes. Why I unsubscribed to Inmendham. This is from Galilean Guy, public intellectual, member of Galilean Forum. I think he is a philosophical moron who tries the best he can. It's just that his best is by most standards unadulterated idiocy. The only reason why he has any following is because his idiocy results in outrageous positions that most of his viewers find comical. Inmendham has unwittingly set himself up as someone to laugh at. He's a clown. That is his unwitting shtick. Nice stuff, you guys, nice stuff. Bunch of people there. Dana Garrett, Galilean Guy, Direct Spirit, Don Quixote de Cor, all of whom fancy themselves, as it seems to me, as occupants of the moral high ground, and all making either accusations of mental illness or just insults of stupidity. If someone is ill, or if someone is stupid, it's the right thing to do to come onto a public forum and crowd in the corner like children on a playground and whisper about the man who's shouting at the other end of the street. Is that really a way for grown-ups to behave? You should be thoroughly ashamed of yourselves. You really should. Wow, okay. I'm not going to say anything about you, Karen, because a lot of the comments on your various videos have made it really clear, what I would like to say. I mean, the last few videos you've made, including this Holier Than Thou competition you've launched, are really all on the back of this silly spat that you've got yourself into with Gary. I mean, why you cannot press the unsubscribe button and turn away, I don't know, but you've been told that enough times. I'm not going to repeat it. But I'm sorry, you're making a complete fool of yourself, in my opinion. And again, you are... many people consider you to be one of the more intelligent commenters on YouTube. And when an intelligent woman like yourself engages in this kind of behaviour, it's just really depressing and disappointing. It really is. I mean, I'm not going to say any more on that, because I want to go on to Professor Anton. Okay, Corey. Now, obviously, I think we've kind of known each other for some time, Corey, and I really didn't want to make this video for all kinds of reasons and picking you out. But this video, why I unsubscribed to Inmendham, I'm sorry, it's appalling, Corey, appalling. And I'm going to just say a few things. Firstly, why would anyone make a video announcing their unsubscription? Why would anybody do that? I don't know anybody else. I mean, maybe they exist, but I certainly haven't seen any videos saying I'm going to unsubscribe. If you pick the phone up and you're on the phone to a telemarketer who's trying to sell you something, and you don't want to hear anymore, you put the phone down. You don't announce to the room that you're not listening to the phone. You don't put an advert in the paper saying you're not going to listen to that person on the phone anymore. You put the phone down. If you're walking down the street and there's a person standing on a soapbox making a political speech or a religious speech or an ideological speech of some kind, and you don't like what they're saying, you cross over. You don't get a megaphone and stand in front of them saying, I'm not listening to this person. if you turn the television on and a programme comes on, Desperate Housewives comes on, Friends comes on, Scrubs comes on, some show you don't like comes on, some documentary about the Second World War comes on, and you don't want to hear this, you change the channel. You change the channel. You don't go out into the street and tell everybody that you're not watching Desperate Housewives, you're not watching this documentary about the Second World War. Why here do you feel the need to announce your unsubscription? There is only one reason. It's because you want to send a message out. You want to send a message out. And for some reason you haven't, I don't know what that message is, it took you 15 minutes to say it. But again, why do that? I mean, it can only be because you want to send a covert message, and that kind of covert behaviour I think is disreputable. Sorry, it just is. And quite honestly, large parts of this video, this 15 minutes, are actually refutations. You know, refutations we've made before, but more refutations of Gary's argument. Quite condescending refutations in places, quite frankly. But so you have actually argued the case, and then said you're unsubscribing. So it's a little like drive-by commenting. You know, drive-by commenting, when a person comes to your channel, makes a comment, usually a critical comment, and then you never see them again. Drive-by commenting. It's like this. It's drive-by critique. I mean, you used to criticise people for what you call have critique will travel. People who have this kind of toolkit of ideas that they just apply to every video they see. Have critique will travel. This is drive-by critiquing. You're putting these ideas out and then you're shutting the door to further communication by saying you're unsubscribing. I mean, it's made, I hate to say this, Corey, but it's made worse in my opinion because you clearly have watched Gary's videos since. You've made covert reference to several of his videos. So even though you've unsubscribed and you've made this kind of public announcement of closing the door in a conversation, getting the last word in, basically, and then announcing you'll close the door, you've actually been peeking around the door ever since, haven't you? Because you've seen the videos and you've made, as I say, covert reference to the content. Very irritating. Okay. I'm going to pick up one or two phrases from this video, Corey. You use this phrase, Gary's little followers. Now, you use the word followers about 3 or 4 times, and I want to pick up at the end of this. But you say, Gary's little followers flock around and send me all kind of snotty messages and call me elitist. That's what you say. Remember that? And your advice to those people is, just unsubscribe. You know, if people flock around you and find you elitist, your advice to them is, just unsubscribe. I mean, should those people all make videos of 15 minutes saying why they're unsubscribing to you? I would think you would find that foolish. And it would be hypocritical I don't know, it just seems that you're saying that, you know, people who don't like what you have to say should unsubscribe to you. And here you are making a long video about Gary, clearly still wanting to engage with him, and making an announcement to that effect. It's not great. Okay, you go on talking about suffering, because I say you actually enter into the discussion even though you say this is a terminal point. On suffering, you say act with regard to it or shut the hell up about it. Act with regard to it or shut the hell up about it. Shut the hell up about it is quite a statement. I don't know why anybody would invite anyone to shut the hell up about it. But maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm looking at Gary's videos, and I don't want to make too many assumptions. But I look at Gary's videos a lot. I look at his lifestyle, and I know little bits about him. I know how he lives. And I look at your videos, Corey, and I look at Direct Spirit's videos where he's driving through Honolulu in that nice car of his. Or I look at Karen's videos, or, you know, all of it. I look at my own videos and see what kind of lifestyle I have. And it seems to me that out of all of us, certainly those people I've mentioned today, Gary has got the most sustainable lifestyle. He seems to live relatively close to the ground. He seems to have his carbon footprint is tiny compared to mine. I drive 1,500 miles a week, so I've got like clown shoes in terms of my carbon footprint. He uses all recycled technology. He's very generous with his knowledge, and he circulates some of that recycled technology to other users. In terms of first doing no harm, Gary is living a far more sustainable life than any of us. You know what I mean? He really is, as far as I can tell. I mean, appearances may be deceptive. Maybe he's got a Hummer around the back of the place he lives that does 7 miles to the gallon. I don't know. I don't think so. So I think he is doing something about it, actually. I think he's doing a lot about it. And he also hasn't brought any children into the world, which is a moral decision on his part, which we may or may not agree with as being a moral position, but for him it is, and so he has done something about it. He's vegetarian, so he has done something about it, and which again, for many people, including myself, has a moral aspect to it. I don't understand that. Shut the hell up about it. He is acting on it, and I see no reason why he should shut the hell up about it. I don't see any reason why anybody should shut the hell up about anything, quite frankly. And then you have this lovely phrase, those who speak of bulls are not in the ring. It's very tempting to say something like, that those who point out the cruelty of bullfighting, for example, are also not in the ring. There's often quite good reasons why people should talk about things but not be in the ring. Yeah. Those who criticise people in penthouses shouldn't be in penthouses. Yeah, there's often good reasons why a ring is the wrong place to be. Okay, I'm going to pick up on something else here. Righteous about their dietary. You're talking about self-righteousness, and you say that some people are righteous about their dietary practices. I don't know if that's directly a reference to Gary. It might be a reference to me, or lots of other people who are righteous about their dietary practices. And specifically about vegetarianism, I guess. But for me, this doesn't jive well with something else you say. Because it seems to me you're very righteous about linguistic practices. I mean, Gary is righteous about vegetarianism, that dietary practice of vegetarianism, because he believes it causes suffering to animals. Yes? He feels it's within his gift to rail and shout and curse and, and make a big fuss about animal welfare because animals suffer as a result of the eating of animals. Yes? But you think you shouldn't do that. You think that's self-righteous. Whereas you're criticising Gary for what you say is causing suffering to other people by linguistic practices, by the fact he swears and curses a lot, quite creatively in my opinion. But he does swear and curse a lot. And you're saying that causes suffering to other people. So aren't you just being self-righteous? Self-righteous about linguistic practices? I think there's some hypocrisy there, to be honest. Okay. I'm almost at the end here. But one of the things you say towards the end there, this is a criticism of Gary, but it's one I would want to turn back on yourself, Gary, and on the other people I've mentioned so far. Corey, I'm sorry, not Gary. You say, respecting people, the ideal, I guess, is respecting people as dignified human beings that have a right to be treated in decent ways. Respecting people, this is in an ideal goal, respecting people as dignified human beings that have a right to be treated in decent ways. Now, I would say that that's true, but there's many ways of mistreating someone and not treating people in a decent way. Accusing people of having a mental illness or using mental illness as an insult is not treating people in a decent way. Calling people members of a cult or calling people a virus is not treating them in a decent way. Condescending to people is not treating them in a decent way. Refusing to compromise your own linguistic patterns to match another person's, even, I mean, this is possibly the subject of a different video, is not treating them in a decent way. Sometimes just not ignoring someone is not treating them in a decent way. Sometimes the decent thing to do is to turn the television off, to put the phone down, to cross over the road and ignore the guy talking on the soapbox. The decent thing to do sometimes is just to ignore that person. That's the decent thing to do. It really is. Okay. Last couple of things. I want to pick up on this word followers. Elsewhere you use the word groupies. Followers and groupies. You use the word followers about 4 times, and you use the word groupies once. Now, you've recently talked about George Lakoff and Mark Johnson, and you'll know about Lakoff's idea of framing a conversation. I mean, you must admit that that's what you're doing there. When you call people groupies or followers, and the other people I've cited do it as well, you're framing the conversation in order to allow the group of people, and that is the person you're talking about, Gary in this case, and a group of people who may or may not want to engage with that person, you're characterising that group in a very particular way and allowing that discussion that takes place to be discounted. You're characterising it as a cult, as Galilean guy suggests, or as any other kinds of ways, a religious organisation of some kind. And so your use of that language is very specific, and you're in communication, you've read this stuff, so you know that's what you're doing. You're using words which are very particular. I mean, I would invite you to look at your own subscribers. I mean, do you think of your own subscribers as groupies, or do you think of them as commenters? Do you think of them as followers, or do you think of them as viewers? And if there's a difference there, I'd love to know what the difference is. I would like to see what the criteria is for a follower or a groupie as opposed to a viewer and a commentator. Because I think it's really important. It's a classic lake of framing the conversation and steering the debate. Other people, not you in this video, but if I can just widen it back out to the various people I've mentioned so far, but perhaps to others as well. Other people have characterised Gary's viewers and Gary's subscribers and commenters as drones. Inmendham was one of the phrases that was used. As a pack, as a flock. Words that suggest a collection of animals. Now, you know about pseudo speciation. I'm sure all of the people who I've mentioned will know about pseudo speciation. Pseudo speciation is a classic tactic of how you stigmatise another group and discount the conversation. You used words, you frame the language so that that group of people that you're trying to discount is seen as somehow less than human. You turn them into a different species just by tricks of the language. And using words like drones and pack and flock and swarm and herd and all of those animal terms are part of that pseudo-speciation process. So when you're, I mean, again, I would invite you, Corey, but also the other people I've mentioned. Do you think of your own subscribers as a pack or a flock or a drone or a herd or a swarm? If you don't, I'd like you to tell me what the criteria are by which Gary's viewers, Gary's subscribers, Gary's commenters acquire that status. Because I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. And on a more personal note, but specifically in relation to this point, I would like you to classify me. Because I subscribe to Gary. I comment on his videos occasionally. I regard myself as a friend, actually. And I would like you to explain what I am. Am I a follower? Or am I a groupie? Or am I a member of a swarm or a pack? Or maybe I'm just stupid, because many of the comments say that, oh, he's stupid and his followers are just stupid. Or maybe I'm just one of those viral agents that's mentioned. I mean, explain me. I'd like you to tell me who I am in this. Yes? And if you think I'm stupid, I'd like you to tell me exactly how that is. And, we can wave PhD papers at one another from now until doomsday. It's fine. But I'd like you to explain me. Why am I finding it interesting? And it's not enough just to say that you find it slightly interesting, but you find other bits not. That's not enough. So, okay, and I guess I'm talking to you specifically, Corey. Yeah, you sugarcoat some of your insults, but there's still a lot of really nasty stuff there, quite frankly. So, yeah, I'd like you to explain me, really. Okay, I made a little note here which says that civilization is judged by the way it treats its dissenters. Okay, this is the last point, really, because even if you think Gary is the worst person in the world, and if you do, by the way, you haven't travelled enough on YouTube. You should look at some of the extreme right-wing nuts out there, or you should look at you don't need me to remind you of those people. Even if you thought Gary was the worst person in the world, even if you thought that, why does that give you the right to make long videos about him, to crowd out one another's comments sections and make little bitchy remarks about him? Why does it give you the right to do that? Is that the way that civilised people behave to one another? Is that the way that civilised people behave towards people who have dissenting views? I would hope you would agree that that's not. A civilization is marked not by how it treats its supporters, but by how it treats its dissenters. A civilised human being, a moral human being, is not judged by how they treat their friends, they're judged by how they treat their enemies. And at the moment, you guys are treating someone who seem to have identified as an enemy in a really crappy way. A really crappy way. And I'll direct this last bit just directly at you, Corey, since you have made this very specific video, which is, I would be so unhappy if I'd received a video like that. I would feel so betrayed. I would feel that a person like yourself, Corey, who's got all the qualifications of an upright, intelligent, moral human being, is behaving like that towards me. I would be so upset by that. I think you, Corey, owe Gary an apology. I really do. Regardless of what you think about him as a person, regardless about what you think about his ideas, regardless about how you think he treats people, I think you owe him an apology for making that video. I really do. The others of you, well, do what you wish. Anyway, that's that. Thank you.